Today we'll be making a baby princess centerpiece. She'll be a mermaid, and we have a seahorse. Let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and first let's set up our printing and our canvas for this project. The centerpieces will be 15-inch double-sided. First, what I do first is set up the mat and the cardstock. Let's go ahead on your right hand side, go to page setup, and I usually leave it in custom. The width, I'll change it to 11, and then the height will be 17. I'm using 110-pound 11 by 17 white cardstock. Orientation remains the same, and as you notice, it changed from 8.5 by 11. You see the paper right here going down. 11 by 17, but we have to change the mat. I'm not using a 12 by 12 because my image is 15 inches in height. So right here, we're going to go to cutting mat, click on cameo, and then we're going to change it to the 12 by 24. Show print border remains the same. Show cut border, leave it the same because the show print border is the gray box, which will tell you where you need to place your image so you can cut, and it won't go out the limit lines, the lines for the cut. And then the show cut border is the red one. Leave it on. Now we have to change your cardstock on the printing setting. So what I do is go on file, print page setup, select the printer you'll be using. I have a wide format printer. Use this one. And then paper size, we're going to change it to tabloid borderless. And it'll set it up to the 11 by 17. Orientation remains the same. Scale 100% remains the same. Click on OK, and you notice the gray box will expand to 11 by 17. Now we have that already set. Let's bring in our images. Okay, you have several options to bring in your images. Either you go here where it says open. It'll take you to your folders in your computer, and you click on the image and it'll bring it in. Or you go to your library. If you have your images saved to your library, you choose your image and you double click and it'll bring it in. Or you can go to File, click on Merge, and it will bring it in as well. I'm going here to Open, and I'm looking for the mermaid. I have to organize these folders. Okay. It's this one. And then I need a seahorse. If I click on the seahorse, it will not bring it on the same canvas. It'll open a new window. If you noticed, when I clicked on the mermaid, it opened a new window, which we already worked on this one, but this one is fine because it's already 11 by 17. Let me show you. If you do the file or library and you bring in your other images, it'll open a new window. I want all my images on one spot. So let me just X out of this one. And let me X out of this one as well. Let me go to the one I already prepared. I don't want a lot of windows to be open. This one I'm working on something else. So if you want all your images on the same canvas, same spot, okay, we click on File, we click on Merge, and we select the image. Double click, it'll bring it on the mat. Go back to File, click on Merge, and select your other images. Okay, let's go ahead and clean up these images. If you notice, this image does not have a transparent background. We need to eliminate that white box. In order to do that, we're going to go ahead and go to your right hand side, click on your trace panel, click on trace, highlight the entire image. And we're going to click on trace and detach. It will detach the image from that white box. You don't see it here, but if you click on the horse and you move it away from the box, there it is. We don't need that box. We're going to go ahead and delete. We're going to set that aside. We take the baby also. If you notice, the size that it's giving you, it's like a box around her, but you can't see it. So we're going to have to do the same thing for the baby. Select trace area, highlight the entire image. Now for the threshold on the baby, we have to put it to 100 so we can highlight the entire image. I didn't do it for the seahorse because when I uploaded the seahorse from Google, it had a lot of little pixels all around the image. And if I put the threshold to 100, it created like white and gray little particles, little pixels. Now for the baby, yes, put it up to 100, trace and detach. Remove the baby, and as you can see, all these little, it's like a small little shadow. We're going to go ahead and highlight it completely. We don't need all that, and we go ahead and delete. Take the baby away. Let's highlight the canvas just in case we have little particles. We don't have anything. We're going to highlight this entire area again to see what we have here, and we don't have anything. So let's go ahead and start sizing. No, before we start sizing, I'm sorry, let's add the registration marks. You need to add the registration marks in order for your machine to recognize what it will be cutting. If you don't have your registration marks, your machine will try to read and it will stop automatically or say unload or not or finished, something like that. So let's go ahead on your right hand side. Let's go ahead and open your page setup. Click on the third box, which is your registration marks, where it says style. Type 1 to whatever machine you're using. We're using the Cameo, so it's type 1. Length, thickness remains the same. Inset remains the same. You don't need any of this. And now you can see it created your registration marks, which is these little black little dots, this corner here and this corner here. Your image should be below this gray fence and inside those black boxes. Your image cannot be touching that gray fence because it will not read. It will read, but it will not cut whatever's hitting or touching that gray or black area. Now for this image, click on the image, unlock. The width will be a 9.6 and the height will be 15, and we lock it. Okay, now I'm going to show you how would it look if you go on and print and cut. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and click on send. Okay, this is your image. I'm gonna click on fill. I'm gonna show you. If you try, when you print your image and you try to cut it, it's not going to cut inside the necklace or inside this white area. In order for you to do that, we're going to go ahead and go back. And we have to release those parts. I'm sorry. So in order for release those parts and the machine to cut inside, because if you go here, I'm going to show you real quick, and select area, and we're going to trace our image for the machine to recognize what it will cut. And you do the threshold up to 100. I'm going to show you real quick. And let's let that. Trace outer edge, meaning it's going to put a red outline around the baby so the machine can recognize what it's cutting. As you can see what I showed you before, it cuts all around, of course, but it's not cutting the inside. In order for us to get the inside of that area, we need to release that area and put it back in. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, first we're going to select the image. Then we're going to go ahead and duplicate the image because we need a second image in order to release that little part from the inside, those little parts from the inside. So let's go ahead here and replicate and duplicate left. Okay, we have that second image. Now, let's go ahead and trace this select the image, go on your right hand side, select the trace panel, select trace area, select your image. I'm sorry guys, select your image. You notice that I have like maybe what 2-3 cups of coffee. Okay, select your image, and we're gonna go to the threshold to highlight the entire image. We're gonna put it to 100. Let's wait for that, and we're gonna click on trace. Okay, once you click on trace, you see it traced all the little bits and pieces. We're gonna go ahead and trace the area that we need. Let's put the threshold up. We just need the inside. This little piece is right here. You see the little pieces right there? That's all we need. Just put it up to 100. Okay, once you put it up to 100, and we're gonna click on trace. Okay, once you do that, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna remove this one, and we don't need her. We can delete it. You see that box? That's what we traced. And you're gonna go ahead and delete. If it lets me delete it, we're gonna go ahead and delete that big one. Once you delete the big one, you go to object and release compound path. Release compound path, meaning you're gonna release all those little bits and pieces. You see all these boxes? It released every single bit and piece on this little image. So now we're gonna go ahead and remove what we need, which is these little bits and pieces right here. I keep on double clicking, and that's not what I need. And this one. Okay, we're done. We're gonna go ahead and select that part, and we delete. We don't need it. Now let's go ahead and accommodate all these little bits and pieces right in here. Let's put that one in here, and that one in there. Okay, I think we got it, guys. There you go. Once you do that, we're gonna go ahead and highlight the entire image. Object, make compound path. Okay. I'm just gonna check if we have bit and pieces here. We shouldn't have no bits and pieces, so we do not. Let's put her back here. I'm gonna show you how it would look. Go to send, go to fill, and there you go. Whatever is outlined in red, that's what the machine will be cutting. You see, we created the machine, so we created these little paths, so the machine will cut inside that white area inside the necklace. We're gonna go back to design and go to your trace, select trace area, highlight the entire image, threshold to 100, and trace outer edge. Even though you saw it when I hit send, you cannot do it from there because that was just to show you how will it cut. So we have to trace the outer edge. Click on trace outer edge. Let's wait for it. And there you go. Once you do that, let's go highlight the entire image, go to object, go to group, object again, replicate, and we're going to mirror left. Why? Because this is a double-sided centerpiece, and I don't want to come back and do all this for my second image for the other side. Let's mirror left. And let's leave her right here. See, you can move her all around because we already grouped her. Let's leave her right there. Let's go ahead and click on send. Okay, click on fill, and then it'll show you where it would cut. Once you do that, we're going to go ahead and click on print. Your printer on your left hand side. You're going to select your printer. I already have my presets. You can go ahead and play around with your printer settings and save it. I already have mine set. It's to 15, as you see, 15-inch cutouts. And then the layout, you can go to paper type and quality, and you can do it as best in your source, whichever tray you're printing from. And then you select your paper type. And we click on print. Once you print, you stick it onto your mat, load it to your machine, and make sure your blade is in your machine, of course. Your speed, whatever speed you want, you can do it at 10. In force, if your blade is new, you don't need to have it in force 33. Please read the instructions on the Silhouettes America, so it can tell you the forces that you need depending on the age of your blade. My blade is like 2 years old. I have never changed it. That's why you see my force at 33 and my speed at 10. If it's an intricate cut like this one that it has those little bits and pieces, my speed, I leave it at 6 or 8. So the machine, because with those little intricate cuts, your machine can go crazy and rip your cardstock. Okay, now, the material, it's 110-pound cardstock. And it's somewhere around here. Right here. Cardstock heavy. Action is a cut. You're not scoring, you're not sketching, it's a cut. And your tool is your blade. You're not using any other. You should have your blade in your machine. Okay, once you do that, we're going to go ahead and click on send. And after that cuts, you go back to where it says design. Remove this one from your canvas. Place your other side on your canvas. And do the same technique for this side. Okay, we're done with these two. Now, for the Seahorse, let's bring him in onto the canvas. The Seahorse will be 11 inches wide. Not 11 inches, I'm sorry, guys. The Seahorse, yes, let's try 11 inches. And the 15 inches. 11 inches, and he is too wide, and I'm not going to cut. If he would have been on glittered cardstock, dark glittered cardstock, yes, I can slice him here, and when I put the cardstock together, you won't notice. But we don't need him that wide. We already have the height, which is 15. So let's go ahead. If you close this here and you go back again 15, the machine will tell you the size, the width you should put him, the Seahorse. If you hit 12, see, it takes you down to 8.80. That's the size the machine is telling you that you should have your width. Let me change him back to 15. And the machine is telling me that, of course, it's 11 inches, but it doesn't fit on my mat. So I'm just going to go ahead and change it. I'm going to set it to 10 inches. Let's see what 10 inches looks like. It goes a little bit beyond. So let's go ahead and do a 9.8. And we lock it. And it's good. Nope, it's still touching. So unlock and let's do a 7. 9.7. And we lock it. There you go. It's in all below the registration marks, above this registration mark, inside your print and cut borders. Let's go ahead and select trace area, highlight your seahorse, bring it on to 100, trace outer edge. Once you do that, I want to change this to a print and cut. This is an SVG. I want to change it almost the same color as the baby. Now, if you click on your image and go to your right-hand side to this little paint panel right here, your fill-in panel, if you click on the blue, I'm trying to look for the same color as that, you know, almost the same color as her tail. But if it gives you a hard time, you can't find it here. What I do is, let me go put it back to black. Click on this little wand right here. And you take that little pencil, see? And you go to your image. And you can get the whatever color you want for that seahorse to be. Right there. Oh, maybe that's too dark. Let me go back again. Maybe that will work. Any color will work because it'll match your baby. I'm just playing with it. It'll match the baby. That's a little bit darker. So I'm just going to go with this one right here. Okay, once you do that, now you can go and click on send. Go to your printer. Again, select your printer. And you click on print. Once you print, stick it onto your mat, load it to your machine, and click on send. Remember, you don't have to change none of this because you already set it with your mermaid. It's already with your cardstock and your blade, and it's in cut. Okay, once you do that, you have all your images. I'll see you back at the table so we can start assembling. Okay, now that we're back at the table, let me just grab real quick what we'll need. I have my 3x5 base, and what I did was I painted it gold, and then I added the glitter, and I sprayed it with adhesive for it not to shed the glitter. It shed just a little bit. I'll just add a little bit more. I'll give it like maybe 2-3 coats of the spray. And then I take the dowel rod, and I paint it halfway with gold acrylic paint. The hole for the base, I grab my drill, the same diameter as the dowel rod. I get a lot of questions on the drill and dowel rod. It's pretty simple. When you buy the packs of dowel rods, it says whatever quantity, and then on the right-hand side on the bottom, it says the diameter of the dowel rod. This is 3/16. So you have to compare it or be the same size as your bit for your drill. And the bit is this. This is 3/16, and the dowel rod is 3/16, 12 inches long. So those are the dowel rods that I use. Once I do that, let me just set it aside. Those are dried. Then I need gold glitter glue. I need my white pearls. And the glitter glue that I use is Stickles. What it is, I bought a big bottle, and the tip got damaged because I kept hitting it on the table. So I transferred it to this little bottle, which has a fine tip. And then next we have our cutouts. This is the one side and the other side. What I did was I added the pearls, and then I added the glitter all around the crown, and I added bows. I will post the link of all these supplies in the description box. The bows and the pearls, I got them from eBay, and I buy them in bulk. I get a lot of questions about supplies. Any craft store, you can find the bows and the pearls. But since I make a lot of these centerpieces, I buy in bulk. So I don't know the name or how they go or the price on each craft store. You can find them AC Moore, Michael's, Joann's. Now let me just go ahead and grab one of these sides and start embellishing. I'm just going to add the glitter all around the crown. and then glue on the bows. Then for the pearls, what I do is add just a little dab, a small dab of glue on the first and the last. While placing it on, I'll just go ahead and stretch it. Instead of cutting it, I'll just stretch it a little bit so it can go all the way to the end. Put a little bit of more glue on this. Okay, I'm gonna work my way all around with the pearls. Okay, now that we're done, I'm just gonna go ahead and set this one aside for this to dry 5 to 10 minutes, and I forgot this top of the crown. Okay, let's set that aside. Let me go ahead and grab these two that are already done, already dried. What I do next is grab the dowel rod and place it on one of the centerpieces, but this is a little bit too long. Let me see. Make sure. I'm gonna make sure it's not that long. If I place it like this, I don't want this touching the base because we need to screw on, twist on the, just gonna go ahead and measure it. Just gonna go ahead and measure it here. This is where I need to start gluing on the dowel rod. And I'm going to grab my other dowel rod and measure that one as well. Okay, and I'm going to cut this dowel rod because it's way too long for that part of the centerpiece. Okay, now let's take our piece and we're going to glue where your mark is. Where is it? Right here. Okay, and we're going to start gluing on the dowel rod. No, I can't see it. Oh, here it is. Okay, there you go. Grab the second image and we're going to place it on top. I suggest measuring first before adding the glue. What I'm going to do is add the glue all around, seal all the edges of these images. Take your hot glue and just start sealing all around. Okay, now that the sides are sealed, we're going to go ahead and mount it onto the base. Let me change the angle of my camera. I'm going to hold on adjusting the camera. Let me go ahead and make the other centerpiece, which is the same technique, but this one is the Seahorse. There's nothing to it. There's no glitter added to it, just as is. I'm going to take my dowel rod, but this is a different one. This is a smaller one. I'm going to go ahead and measure it first. It's very important to measure it. And I think it's going to go on like this. I don't want it too high. Guys, what I'm doing is just measuring the Seahorse. And I think I'm going to place him here. Okay, once you measure, I'll take my X-Acto knife and just make a little mark right here. That way I'll know. Then go ahead and grab your cutout. Let's get some glue on here. And okay, now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and, same technique, place the second part right on top and start gluing all the sides. Okay, now that we're done, we're just going to go ahead and assemble them on the base. And place her on the base. That's the mermaid. And the Seahorse. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely day, and as usual, happy crafting.